we're gonna do a cooking video. Tonight, I'm gonna cook Chris from Hobo Custom Rods. Good evening and welcome to my kitchen. I went flounder fishing this past weekend. Chris from Hobo Custom Rods and I went down to the Mississippi Gulf Coast to do a little inshore fishing, and we racked up on the flounder. And tonight I'm going to cook stuffed flounder. It's my first time to do it, but I've done a little research and I think it's going to be good. So here's the flounder prepared. It is scaled, deheaded, and deboned. So I can butterfly it open, fill it with stuffing, close it, and bake it. So this is another flounder that is filleted the traditional way. And if there's stuffing left over, I'll make mounds of it and use these fillets to wrap it. Otherwise, it'll just be traditional broil. I'm gonna cheat on the stuffing. I'm gonna use stovetop, but I'm gonna dress it up with a little Tony's Creole and a little bit of minced garlic and shrimp. So it'll be shrimp stuffing. So I've already pre-measured the water, so it's going in, and we'll let that come to a boil. But I'm going to add some garlic to it, just a little bit, not measuring. That was about a teaspoon and a half, and I need a quarter cup of butter. Pretty easy stick butter. Don't even need a measuring cup. So the shrimp needs to be chopped up. I will grab a cutting board, chop these into small pieces. I want it to be real shrimpy. So I'll take some of the larger ones, used for the garnish. One of the larger ones here. 3. So the rest of these I'll get chopped up. Don't want to make the chunks too small, because I do want you to actually have the feel and texture of the shrimp in some of the bites, which I think is important. Texture is almost as important as taste. All right, I got to get the oven preheated, 350. So we'll get that started. So it looks like the water's boiling. So I put the shrimp in. And these are pre-cooked shrimp. And even if they were raw, shrimp doesn't take long to cook. So you don't want to boil them very long. Matter of fact, not long after I get them in there, it's going to return to a boil. And when it does, they'll be done. I like shrimp. Sprinkle a little Tony's in there. And we'll check it later for flavor once the stuffing is done. So we may want to add a little more. So remove it from turn off the heat. Pour in the stuffing. Stir it in. Okay, so I'm waiting on the stuffing. It's standing and thickening. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the flounder laid in place. Light coating of salt and pepper on the inside. The stuffing is going to go in here. Go ahead and put a little bit on these. Salt and pepper. very light sprinkling here. Be careful not to overdo it, because Tony's has a lot of salt in it. All right, time for a taste test. So it's absorbed all the water, stiffened up. That's good. Even better than I thought it would be. Okay, oven's preheated. Stuffing should be ready. And I wouldn't have thought that the stovetop stuffing would be this good, but it is great. And I think I have enough to completely fill this fish and to be able to use the other fillets with the stuffing. So I'm pretty excited about this. Hope everybody else is hungry and looking for a nice meal. Oh yeah, that's plenty. So let me make sure. Yep, let me stuff the parts in between. I think I can put a little more in here. A little more stuff in there. You know, I think stuffing is there to make meats go farther. It kind of puts a, what do you call it, a bread in there for you. Oh man, that is great. So now I'll take the rest of this and I'll make 2 mounds out of it. I'll burn my hands, but here we go. So that stuff is flipping hot. I mean, I should have let the stuffing cool, because I think I remember a recipe saying exactly that, to let it cool before you use it. But I think that it's actually advantageous to leave it hot, because you don't have to worry about that coming up to temperature. So we're going to wrap it. Hopefully you can see that. Yep. So we're going to wrap like this. Okay. Stick around till the end and I'll tell you which one of these methods I prefer. I might add toothpicks to help hold those together, but I don't think they're going anywhere. Not necessary, but I think it'll look nice. And I saw this on one of the recipes that I looked at. Have a nice little piece as a garnish. Go with a little more salt and pepper. And don't go back with more Tony's. Just shake on some paprika. All that smoky flavor on the outside, because there's plenty of flavor on the inside. And we don't want to kill the fish completely with an overabundance of seasoning, because one of the great things about flounder is it has a great taste. It's kind of a sweet flavor. It tastes fantastic all by itself. And we're going to go really light on lemon. I didn't go and get any whole lemons, so I don't have that, you know, lemon slices that I can put. So we're going to splash a little lemon. Just a little. We don't want to overpower it. Now, an important step, because this has to cook for a while, is to cover it for the first part of the cooking. And the recipe I saw said 30 minutes covered and 15 minutes uncovered. And I think with the hot stuffing, we may not need that much time, so I'll probably check it after 20. We'll set the timer for 20 minutes. While that's cooking, I'm gonna boil some water for the corn on the cob. So my brother and his wife are bringing a couple dishes. for sides. I believe it's going to be asparagus and some potatoes. And we're going to have, I'll take care of the fish and the stuffing and the corn on the cob. Not a bad weekend, or excuse me, not a bad weeknight meal. Now I do like a little seasoning in my corn, so I will put Tony's in the water. And you just about can't put too much. You can, but it's difficult. The main thing on the corn, just like when you're cooking shellfish, crawfish or shrimp or crabs, a lot of it has to do with how long it soaks in that seasoning. Okay, so we're waiting on this to boil. We're waiting on that to cook. And I'll check back with you guys in a few minutes. So while everything's cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and make some tea. Some sweet tea, to be precise. Get the water boiling. I'm gonna go to the pantry and get some tea bags. Now, I'm gonna commit sacrilege in some people's books because I'm not using Lipton. We just have these black tea bags, black English tea or British tea. We have this black tea British blend. It's tea, and it's actually pretty good. Probably blended for the way the Brits drink their tea, which is hot, but it makes good sweet tea also. So while that's coming to a boil, I'm gonna go ahead and get the sugar. One of the things I think is really important about cooking is being present, being in the kitchen. When you first learn how to cook and you're just making one dish, what you end up doing is getting things started and then walking away from them. And that's how you get things burned. That's how tea boils dry. That's how butter beans, peas, whatever vegetables that you boil, that's how they boil dry. That's how gravies and sauces stick, because you're only doing one thing. So it's important to me when I'm cooking. So I always start with the long dishes, the things that are going to take the longest to cook. I get those going, just like this flounder. It's in the oven, okay? So then I've got the water on for the corn. I got the tea started. I emptied the dishwasher. I started filling the dishwasher back up. So I'm making the tea. I'm filming a video. The corn is already defrosted. This is not fresh corn. It is out of a bag of frozen small cobs. And here I am. Okay, things that need to be put away. Got seasoning. Seasoning's gonna go back into the pantry. That's what I mean. Be present. Turn that off. I told you, put enough hot water in there to cover that sugar, and it's mostly dissolved. So one thing about tea is it gets sweeter as it gets cold. But in order to properly make sweet tea, you have to dissolve the sugar in hot water. It's important. You want it fully dissolved. So I take the time to get it started with the hot water to begin with, and then I pour the hot tea on top of it. So now what I'll do is I'll get a cup, a big cup, and of course this is a Mississippi State cup. So I'll go to the ice maker and I'll get a giant cup of ice. And I know that about this much ice will be melted mostly by this much hot water. So I'll pour it full of ice. And then I go to the refrigerator and I get the cold filtered water from the refrigerator, and I'll fill the pitcher. So sweet tea gets better the longer it sits in the refrigerator. But most people don't do what I showed you with the pre-dissolving the sugar and the water, plus adding the hot fresh tea in it, and then cooling it off and stirring it with ice and cold water. So now I'll put it in the refrigerator and I'll have great sweet tea right from the beginning. It doesn't have to wait. Okay, the water's boiling, time to put the corn in. So put the corn in boiling water, return it to a boil, maybe 5 more minutes of boiling, and then you can turn it off. And after that, all you're doing is letting it soak for flavor. Okay, corn's been boiling for about 5 minutes. I'll turn that off. And the fish has been cooking for about 20 minutes. I'm going to pull it out and check it. Oh, yes, that looks good. Fish, it's already getting tender, so we will take it off and we will put it back in and let it go ahead and evaporate some of that water. Put it back in for 10 minutes. We will check it before that. And what I told you earlier, stay present, be in the kitchen, keep the workplace clean. So we're going to check the temperature of the stuffing. We're going to poke at the fish a little bit. I know the stuffing's good, so okay, plenty warm. Fish is flaky. This turned out great. I'm going to do this again soon. I prefer wrapping the fillets around a mound of stuffing, mainly because on the stuffed deboned flounder, the bottom fillets got lost in the stuffing, so you really didn't get that fishy flavor from those. However, if you want a great presentation to impress dinner guests, the stuffed deboned flounder is worth the effort. We're out of sugar. Well, shit. GoPro, stop recording. GoPro, stop recording.